What's going on, Spittin Chiclets fans? You know the drill. This interview is brought to you by No Days Wasted, the creators of DHM Detox, the vitamin for people that drink. DHM Detox is a recovery formula with a blend of natural ingredients, vitamins, and electrolytes that help you bounce back after drinking alcohol. Forget the next day nausea, brain fog, and anxiety. It's time to be smart and responsible about when you drink, and DHM Detox is your go-to drinking buddy that helps boost your body's natural response to drinking. It's risk-free purchase, so if you don't love it, they'll give you your money back. And as a bonus, here's a sneak peek at their Rapid Immunity Hydration product that is coming soon. Sign up for the email updates at nodayswastedco.com to stay in the loop. They're focused on creating functional, science-backed products that help you be your best. Also, I can't forget, No Days Wasted has also donated $10,000 to the ECHL Player Relief Fund, and they're offering 20% off your order of DHM Detox using the BIZ20 promo code. Just head over to their website at nodayswastedco.com for no days wasted after drinking. Now, enjoy the interview.
Our next guest, he played 442 NHL games over 8 years with 4 different teams. He also won a Stanley Cup in 1994 with the Rangers. Ever heard of it? Not a big deal. Currently, he works on Sportsnet up in Canada and on the fabled Hockey Night in Canada broadcast. Welcome to the podcast, Nick Kypreos.
What's going on, boys?
What an absolute pleasure, Kipper.
Over 20 years in broadcasting, but this is now going to another level.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dude, I was telling these guys, like, I if you would have asked me before, I would have said, oh, he played for the Hartford Whalers for 10 years because every time we had the Bruins Whalers on, it seemed like you were there. And then I look, I'm like, you only played like a season and a half there. I think you just made such an impression in your time.
Bruins
with
fans
the
hated his guts.
On. Yeah, we Bruins fans couldn't stand it.
I joke with Brian Burke. Brian Burke left Vancouver, and that was his first GM job, and that was his first trade ever.
Really?
And I said, like, if you made a better trade, maybe you'd still be a GM right now. And the one thing that he did, right, and a lot of people in Hartford still to this day, it's kind of split, was the Bonanza song, right?
Yeah,
after the celebration after a goal, but he wanted nothing to do with that. He gassed it. And what he did is he wanted tough hockey right away. So he brings us all in, and we have our first team meeting, and he goes, I'm going to have this heavy hitter award, okay? After every game, I'm going to count the hits, and whoever has the most, at the end of the year, I'm giving him a brand new truck.
Really?
And my eyes opened up like manhole covers. And after every game, you go to the game sheet, and every guy, I had Pat Verbeek and Jeff Sanderson, who was a young player. They'd all go see how much ice time they played. I'm like, how many hits did I have? How many hits
I want that Durango.
You're juicing the stack guy up in the press box. You're like,
so anyways, make a long story short, probably the reason why you think I played there longer, I won the truck.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking right.
No one's taking the truck off of me. And then I had the keys in my hands for about 30 seconds and then handed them off to my dad.
Oh, what a legend. That's unreal.
Great. That's a great tip.
So
for the low price of.
Yeah. Hey, Dad, I bought you this. So for people who, I think most people know you as your player, tough player to play against, physical. But what people don't know listening, this is the 19th leading goal scorer in OHL history right here, boys.
Wait, you did some research.
He's in front of Toffoli, and he's a little behind Mike Foligno. But, dude, 60 goals one year, 50 another, right?
Like, I could put the puck in the net.
But not drafted.
No, it was kind of strange back then because there was a little wiggle room where, as an 18-year-old, believe it or not, if you weren't drafted, there was kind of like this label that you're just too old. You're done.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, now you can miss it, and then next year you're going to be a star.
They can discover you at 24 now.
Yeah.
They don't care. They'll groom you, and if they can squeeze 2-3 years out of you, they're willing to do it. If you come in and be a rookie at 25 or 26, they don't care. Back then, you were 19 or 20 and you didn't get drafted. Too old. What's wrong with you? If those teams didn't think that you were draftable at 18, I ain't taking you.
Yeah, no shit.
And that's the way it was. So I had my first year. See, the issue for me was I only scored, I think, 12 or 13 goals my rookie year, and then I jumped to 41. Then I jumped to 62. Then I spent 15 games in the AHL and went back as an overage. I ended up scoring 49 goals in like 44 games.
What's this league?
As an overage, I probably could have hit 70
if you played the
whole year. If I played the whole year. But to make a long story short, really short, I didn't get drafted, and then a week later I get a call from Bobby Clark from the Flyers saying, hey, we're glad no one picked you up. We want to invite you as a free agent to come to training camp. And I went there, and they offered me a contract.
So that's the thing that's wild is so you sign with Philly, and then what's the whole story? Because you end up Washington picked you up off waivers. I didn't understand how that worked.
Apparently Philly was pissed.
Yeah, they were pissed.
I don't blame them.
Yeah. Just
like, why did they even get a crack?
Listen, we watch today's game now where we got like NHL scouts in friggin' rinks when the kids are like out of the maternity ward. It's crazy today.
On the mini ice.
That wasn't the case. I didn't even have an agent. Bobby Clark calls my house.
Really?
My sister picks up the phone, says it's Bob Clark in Philadelphia, and then my sister turns around and goes, it's Bob Clark. I'm like, yeah, okay, quit screwing around. Okay, that's not funny.
Yeah.
I just went through the whole paper yesterday. I didn't get drafted. I'm a little pissed off right now. I'm seeing guys drafted in front of me, and I'm like, he's shit. He's no good. Why is he in front of me? That guy stinks. I'm having a really bad weekend. And she goes, no, it's Bobby Clark. I'm like, I pick it up. I'm like, I don't know who you are, but you better not be messing with me. And he goes, no, it's Bob Clark. And I'm like, holy shit.
It's like, I like the fire, though, bud.
Son, you're starting to be disrespectful now.
I'm like, and I got the Greek immigrant dad, we're all sitting at the kitchen table eating watermelon on a late June hot day. And I'm like, hey, Dad, I think it's Bobby Clark. He wants to invite me to the training camp. Should I go? And then he starts, and no word of a lie. It's like a scene out of My Big Fat Greek Wedding. He's like, Philadelphia, you know what philos is? Brotherly love in Greek. And I'm like, not right now, Dad. I got Bob Clark right now. I don't need the Greek history lesson right now. Should I go? What am I going to tell him? He goes, yeah, go see what happens. So I did. So I went there. I had a good training camp. Again, no agent, just me.
Still,
no agent. I go through like 10 days of training camp, and now I know there's cuts coming. Trainer comes up to me and says, Bob Clark wants to see you in his office. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to get sent back to junior. Thanks for, I really loved the meal money. That was a really cool part. I got a few rides with Tim Kerr and, the late Pelly Lindbergh, God bless him. He was around. I'm watching Rick Tocchet become a star.
Yeah.
All these guys, and I'm like, this was a really cool experience. So he calls me in and he sits me down. He says, Nick, we had 78 guys in training camp, and it was a zoo, man. It was like Grand Central Station going to the rink every day. And he says, but I invited 25 free agents, and I got one contract. And guess who I want to give it to? And I'm
no
like,
way.
I have no idea, bud. He goes, you.
I don't know, but if I get one of those per diem packs?
I said, you kidding me? And I'm like, oh, my God, that's awesome. So then he says, maybe we should call your agent. I go, I don't have one. He goes,
you're my favorite type of player.
I'm looking at him. There's a big pregnant pause. I'm like, what do we do now? And he goes, he says, do you know any agents? I go, nope. I said, do you? I'm asking a general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers,
the perfect one
Hall of Famer, if he knows any agents. And he kind of smirks and he goes, yeah, I know a few. He goes, okay, good. So, I kind of see the kind of sparkle of the eye going, oh, my God, I can get this guy to pay me to sign this contract, let alone the other way around. So anyways, he goes behind. Pulls out the Rolodex. He starts flipping it around. And then he finds Bernata Sports, and, he calls him up. And it's at the end of the line, it's Bill Waters. And I ended up working with Bill Waters a lot of years at Sportsnet and still joke around about this story. But
no shit.
Yeah, he's like, I got this Toronto boy. I like him a lot. I want to sign him to a contract. And, they could have just raked me right over.
Oh, for sure.
But anyways, they ended up giving me, I think, $10,000, $15,000 on a signing bonus, and I signed a 3-year contract. And it was awesome. I went back to junior, had a great year. I ended up coming out of my junior career. I finished my junior career without my overage year, and I had I had it going on pretty good.
Yeah.
Then I went to Hershey to make this story, just to kind of put a bow to this story. They started me, and they thought I was going to spend the whole year in the American Hockey League. I ended up playing 10 games. Not 9, 10. And 10 saws off the first pro year.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So they thought that year didn't count.
Oh, for waivers.
For waivers.
Oh my God.
So Bob Clark.
Check the game notes, bud.
did not protect me the year I was supposed to make the Flyers, and Poyle picked me up. And the story goes, because we're not privileged to be on the waiver wire, is that David Poyle says, I put a claim in for Nick Kypreos, and Bob Clark goes, you can't claim him. He's only got 2 years pro.
Oh my God.
And then David Poyle says, no, he's got 3. He goes, no, he went back to junior hockey. That year doesn't count. And he says, Bob, if you would have sent him back after 9 games, he played 10.
Oh, God.
And Bob Clark said, shit.
That's so not like the Flyers to mismanage an asset either.
Oh, shit. RA's got every fan base that hates his guts, and this is why. He just got to
Anyways, pretty good story.
That's unbelievable.
A fantastic
Pretty good story.
Well, it's indicative of like what goes on. I mean, that's a major detail that shouldn't be an oversight, and they lost the player over.
Last 20 years, Chicago Blackhawks with the fax machine.
With the offer sheet,
There's a few stories out there of just not being
brain farts.
I don't know the Chicago one.
Well, it was when Dale Talon kind of took the bullet when he was in Chicago, and they had a bunch of RFAs that needed their offers, so that they wouldn't.
Who'd they lose?
They ended up losing people. It was more about the money they had to pay them.
That's right.
Oh,
that's right. You went from restricted to unrestricted free agency, and I think it just came about whether or not guys were free to leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, because there was a clock. There's a clock on putting in arbitration to hit arbitration.
That's what it was.
There's a time limit, and if you're 12:01 and you have not submitted a qualifying offer, then you're free to leave. And he got caught with a few guys.
Yep.
Damn.
Well, so the other thing. Oh, Biz, go ahead. Sorry, buddy.
Oh no, I mean, I wanted to dive into the Hartford. You kind of dug up the question. I'll let RA ask it.
Well, actually, I wanted his first pit stop before that. You broke in with the Capitals, man. You had some legends on that team: Dino Cicerelli, Dale Hunter, Scott Stevens, Rod Langway. How did they help sort of set the template for your professional career? What did you learn off those guys? Such an early stage of your career.
Well, I think a lot of those guys in my teenage years, you watch them, and the one thing that I sensed right off the bat, and I had a little bit of experience, knowing a little bit Scott Stevens, because I was drafted by the Kitchener Rangers. He had just kind of left there, so I had heard all the stories. But the moment you walk in that dressing room and you watch this guy before and after every practice, and he's like
shredded,
like 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 sit-ups after every practice, the intensity. I never seen to this day. I don't think there's a guy in the league that would ever hit his level of intensity. Like he is
his face
rip your heart out of your chest before you even knew his hand was in there. I mean, this guy loved the game, loved to compete. It would be so much fun to see him to today's game. I mean, he couldn't string 10 games in a row without getting suspended.
And Jovanovski told me a Cicerelli story, because I believe they played together when Jovanovski was a rookie in Florida, and he would have been, Cicerelli had been on the end of his career, that they were rooming together for whatever reason.
Because there was no own rooms then.
Oh, not even for the veterans?
No.
Oh, geez. Okay, so they would get room service, and they would get a knock at the door. And you can imagine the first time this ever happened, Cicerelli's like, Joe, we'll go answer the door. And when finally he opened the door, and then the guy came in with the food and placed it in the middle of the room, Cicerelli had put the covers over, kind of like he was pounding abroad. And he was like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah. and he was essentially fucking the air. But the guy dropping off the food was like, holy shit, what did I walk into? Some sort of gangbang. And Jovanovski would be so embarrassed.
Oh, my God.
See, Dino had that sense of humor.
Well, there you go, I guess.
Yeah. We come off the plane, we go take a leak. We're standing in the, we're beside each other in the urinals. and the whole like all the guys off the plane are in there to take a leak, and it's packed in there, and he just looks at me and he says, "No, thank you. I'll shake it myself." And I'm like, come on, Dino. I got like 1,000 guys staring at me right now. Come on, Dino.
So he'd be the guy.
He had that sense of humor.
He'd be the guy wrapping sex toys in foil, tin foil.
Oh, for the security?
Because I used to go through they used to have to take regular flights, right?
Din had he wasn't short of laughs, that guy.
So I love RA bringing you up, mentioned Stanley Cup champion, and that team, I mean, Messier, Leach, and Mike Keenan. So, I mean, I can't imagine the stories of that year. And I've been told by many people when you and Edzo get together, it's just comedy sessions.
It is. And I don't know to this day how we kind of got through that whole year. But it always ties back to Mark Messier as the glue guy, as the guy that kind of kept it together, kept Keenan in check. Like, think about it. One of the most intense guys, got everything he ever wanted, ever asked. But Mark found a way to kind of humble him at times, keep him together.
Not many guys could have done that.
Brian Leach would have broken October, November. But Messier kept
coming at him.
Well, just, you got to make it work with Brian Leach. This guy's going to win us a cup, right? And times Keenan tried on a few occasions to break him. The old I'll trade you for Chris Chelios right now in a heartbeat kind of, Wow. Oh, yeah. All of that. Yeah. All of that coming to Brian. And Brian hung in there. Had Mark Messier beside him saying, hey, just stay focused, do your thing, and we'll get through this. And it did. And it kind of almost crumbled in the conference final against New Jersey. He benched them a little bit.
Really?
Oh yeah, and it was really kind of the fork in the road for that championship. And Mark went in, did a 1-on-1 with Keenan, said, "You're gonna blow this for us if you don't smarten up."
Shit.
Yeah, and then Keenan came back, and we had a team meeting, and Keenan kind of apologized to us a little bit, said, "Listen, I wasn't very good the other night. I'll be better." And that's when it got right back on the tracks.
Wow.
Was he just pushing buttons, but pushing the wrong buttons at the wrong time? Or?
Yeah.
Picking the wrong guys to go at.
And Mark knew where the buttons needed to be pushed, and how he just got it back on the rails. And Mark's always, like, the one thing about Mark, which is unbelievable, one of our best superstars in the history game, the method to his madness. It's never ever just about him. It's not about his numbers. It's about the team winning. I'll look even better when we win together. Nobody can look great and not win. It's impossible.
Right.
And
because in the end,
we've had a few superstars in the league that you could sit there and say, hey, great career, Hall of Famer career. What did you win? Nothing. Okay, that knocks you down a few.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, Ovechkin was that close.
Right.
He was really close to being that guy that, wow, one of the greatest players maybe in the history of our game, good goal scorer, but can't win without him. He changed. He changed the last few years. He got it.
It changes what will be written about him forever. And another thing I heard was you played in Game 7 that year when you beat Vancouver. And didn't Messier tell everyone something about write down why you should be in games?
Well, I played in the first round, and then I didn't play in the second or the third round. And then I didn't play in like game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And then they're like, "You're playing Game 7, Stanley Cup final,
crazy."
Yeah,
Madison Square Garden.
Jeez,
maybe one of the biggest games in history. In 90 up until 94.
Yeah,
right. Big stage, highest rated hockey game in history at that point for the NHL. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going in. But yeah, that story was that we were up 3-1.
Tremendous.
They already
series.
had the parade route for Game 5. That didn't happen, and now we've blown 2 games, and we're like on our heels. And the flight home, we had everybody write down what we were going to do to be the difference maker in Game 7, and I was like,
you must have written something good.
Oh, I was going to be like the St. Louis Blues today. I'm just going to run everybody in sight and just,
You're like,
I'm
I
going
have
to be
this.
that guy that's just going to go out there and push them all back.
Yeah.
I wish I kept that letter. I don't. That was
I
a
know,
good letter.
Seriously.
Oh, my punctuation was fantastic.
You're like, hey, I have a truck.
No spelling errors. I was just really on top of my game.
Murder, She Wrote typewriter on the plane. Oh, man.
We talked about Hartford a little bit a minute ago. You actually played for the one season Pierre Maguire was head coach of the Hartford
Really?
Whalers. You played underneath him. What was that experience like?
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Couldn't wait. We couldn't wait to ask you this.
My favorite Pierre Maguire story was is that we played the Montreal Canadiens one night in Hartford, and it's 40 minutes, and we're down 4-0, and we haven't touched the puck, and Paul Holmgren comes in and just gives it to us, and Pierre's going to play good cop, bad cop, right? So Homer leaves the room, and he's coming in. He goes, guys, I got a plan. He goes, we're going to come out there in the third period, and we're going to score a goal every 5 minutes, and then we're going to win it in overtime. All right? We good? Yeah, we're good. So we go out there, and 3 minutes in, I don't know, someone scores a goal, lucky goal off his ass. And Pierre's so excited now, he starts running up and down the bench going, way to go, boys. We're way ahead of schedule. And I'm like, we're ahead of schedule.
We're down 4-1.
I go, you want me to rag the puck, get us back on schedule a little bit? Kill the clock? You want me to kill the clock a little bit, get us back on schedule? So, anyways, we had a good chuckle over that one. But, you know, I really enjoyed Hartford that 1 year. And, you know, the biggest problem that Hartford had was that prior to me getting there, they had legends in that community like Ron Francis, Pat Verbeek, Mike Liute, Dave Tippett was there, Joel Quenneville was there, and they had such a tight group in the community that once those guys got moved out and traded, it was the town turned on the team, and they didn't like the owner, Richard Gordon at the time, because he was kind of, you know, he's behind all those. Ronnie Francis was like God there. And once he got moved to Pittsburgh, and I felt so bad for John Cullen and Zarly Zalapsky. God bless Zarly. We lost him a few years ago.
Right.
But they could never win. They could never come in and substitute those legends at the time. Yeah. And it derailed. It went from 15,000, 16,000 every game down to 7,000, you know, 7,500 some nights, and it was tough. Couldn't catch up.
Were you surprised they eventually left town? Did you know when you were there, at the time you were, that shit, this isn't going to last?
No, I thought it had a chance still.
Yeah.
But you know that the community with the crowds being down and not willing to kind of hang in there.
Right.
I think it was an easy move to Carolina. But, you know, when the Boston Bruins would come in, I mean, those were great rivalries.
Those were awesome rivalries.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
and Montreal and them, too. It was that whole division. It was
the Adams division rivalry.
Yeah, and there's still people in Connecticut that think it could still work, putting them back there. And, I mean, under certain circumstances, I don't know.
I don't know, guys, in Connecticut. Sorry. I don't think that would happen again.
All right, there you go.
All right, I got another thing. So now... we actually haven't even got into how you got into media and how you've become such a big face in hockey media and Hockey Night in Canada. But you got a chance to play for your hometown team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I'm wondering, you witnessed firsthand how hard it is to be a kid from Toronto and play for that team. So in terms of them winning a cup and them making the next few steps, how difficult will it be?
Yeah, that's a good question, Whit, because it takes a special person, I think, to play there and, you know, have that thick skin and not get caught up in too much of it.
And every day.
Right? And, you know, there's the one thing, too, is fair or unfair, the team could be really bad and still they're going to treat them like rock stars there. They're going to, no matter what they do, first place, last place, they're still treated like gods there. And the attention that they constantly get, it's even a jealousy factor around the league. It's like, holy geez, I'm scoring 40, 50 goals, you know, down here and nobody knows a thing. And you guys, you know, continue to get all the attention. So there's so many different ways that you can kind of look at it that makes it challenging for the players, and sometimes players will take advantage of that and sit there and go, it doesn't matter what I do, I'm still a star, and that's not the proper way to go about it.
Exactly.
You want it on your merit of winning and earning
your resume,
earning your attention. But that unfortunately is an issue there. That no matter what they do, they're always treated like gold, and I don't know if that helps or hurts or whatnot. But there's a reasoning behind the fact that in 50 years they haven't got the job done.
I think the last true Maple Leaf who was able to embrace the city and balance it, but yet kind of maintain, I wouldn't say like a bad boy image, but I could say two guys, Dougie Gilmour and Wendell Clark.
Yeah.
Wendell was a little more chill, where Dougie was probably
so different.
Doug Gilmour was kind of doing the commercials and stuff, but he was killer. He was just he embraced it.
He was like an MVP type of guy. It was It was Gretzky, it was Lemieux, it was Gilmour. He was in that conversation, right?
But he embraced that. Yeah. Whereas, they got a few guys now, but
if you try to hide from
I think the one thing that we got to understand is that they're really young still. And I think Babcock's tried to tell them, listen, this is a great talent, but you got to win in it, and you got to. That's the only way it's truly going to feel good is when you win. And they've come in, Matthews historically has done some things that no one else has done in history. So you got to give them a few years to see where this thing plays out. But for me personally, it was a fantastic experience being in my hometown and seeing a bit of the fishbowl. Yeah. You don't want to get caught up too much on we always had the Toronto Sun, the Toronto Star in the dressing room. Guys would read it. Some guys would be really bothered by it. Others wouldn't. But now with social media, now you get everything on your phone, so you don't even have to see the papers lying on the dressing room floor. It's everybody staring at their phone. I'm not sure, again, that's a good thing or bad thing when you're a Toronto Maple Leaf.
It's gotten a little out of hand, though.
Yeah.
Everything's a story now there, and these guys have no separation.
No separation. And again, I think it takes a certain person to kind of separate that and not read what you think. And if you do read it, don't let it affect you. It's just... some guy in his basement.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like me.
Skipper loved it.
So, what about when it ended to where you're at now? How did it all begin in hockey media? What was there a break you got? A certain person to really help?
I'm the most ignorant person out there. I got a similar story going into meet Sportsnet. Like I went into the Philadelphia Flyer training camp. It came off a recommendation from the NHL office. A gentleman by the name of Glenn Adamo, who was really a great guy in the NHL office. Because with the Rangers, I'd be the first one to put my hand up. Hey, we just won the cup. They're like, yeah, we need somebody to go out to MTV's Beach House in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'll go.
Yeah, get my jersey ready.
I'm single.
Doing the dirty work again.
I'm single. Everybody else is, back home with their families. I'm like, I'm going. Brian Noonan, we're going. We spent 3 days there. So I did all that stuff. And then when it came to, at the end of my career and a brand new station, sports station coming out, we only had TSN in Canada. We're going to have this rival station. They're looking for people. You want to go in for an audition? I'm like, sure, I'll give it a try. Went in there with my flip-flops, my blue jeans, and a white T-shirt. And at the time, it's Scott Moore, who was my president for a lot of years, looking at me going, have you ever been on a job interview before? And I'm like, nope. He goes, you're sure
and
dressed
I need an
like
agent.
it. Yeah. And I need an agent. And he's like, yeah, I can tell that. And I auditioned. And at the time, there was a few people out there, Hall of Famers, Mike Gardner, Pat Flatley. They were all auditioning. And I'm like, I got no shot at this. Have you seen my career stats?
Yeah.
I got no shot at this. These guys are like Hall of Famers, captain of the Islanders and Team Canada, Pat Flatley. I got no shot at this. And I went there and I just winged it. And then they called me back about a week later. So
you were probably the cheapest option.
Maybe.
Well, it just shows
Maybe.
career stats don't matter. It's how you perform on TV.
So I'm like, holy shit, if I thought I had a chance at this job, I would have been a hell of a lot more nervous. I would have blown it.
Yeah.
I would have blown it.
Well, no, you're a humble guy, but like when you went in there, did you feel like that you could do that job? Were you very confident? Did you think that your interview or whatever the trial was on point?
I wasn't that confident that I would get the job. I was just confident enough to sit there and say at that point, I've done enough of this. I'm like 32, 33.
Last thing for him here.
What's the story between you and Grant Fuhr, the 96 playoffs, when he started hating your guts?
I still get hated fan mail from St. Louis. It's going to be, oh my God, they still hate me. And but got to say this, September, picked St. Louis to win the Stanley Cup.
Did you?
I did.
Wow.
I didn't have Jordan Binnington in that. I can tell you that.
You didn't have him sitting last in January.
I had Jake Allen, but I believed in Ryan O'Reilly. I believed in some of the core guys that they had. I thought they could get out of the West, and we'll see. But as far as Grant Fuhr goes, let me tell you something. One of the nicest people you'll ever meet. So it was about I don't know, maybe about 3 years after. And I had just recently retired. I ended up at an event, and I had not spoken to Grant Fuhr since, the incident in the St. Louis series. And I'm with Mark Messier, and this just speaks to what kind of guy Mark Messier is. I said, I haven't talked to Grant Fuhr since that incident. He goes, "What? You haven't?" He grabs me by the collar. He says, "Come on, we're going to see him right now."
You're like, oh, fuck.
And I'm like, and Mark, in the only way Mark knows how is just, being himself. And Grant was the nicest guy and just totally said, listen, part of the game. I'll never hold it against you. It's just.
What did you do?
Prongs. Chris Pronger cross-checked me and I fell into him.
So you acted like you fell and you fell on top of him, kind of like Backus did to Binnington.
You played the game, bud.
All right, yeah,
you know.
So you were a little fucking rat, weren't you?
Hey, yeah.
He pissed people off.
You just try to do whatever you can. You want to. Hey, listen. We're watching the Stanley Cup final. If St. Louis doesn't start getting in the face of
what are they
Tuca,
you gotta
kiss it goodbye.
You gotta do
kiss
something.
it goodbye. I've bumped goalies. I've, on occasion ran a few. I've never taken anyone's knee out.
Well, it's different. There's a line.
That to me, honest to God, if I knew that I was going to take out if it was going to cost him his knee, I would have found a different way to upset him.
Right.
He's so much respect in his career, and you just never envision that when you're gonna bump or fall on a goalie, you're gonna wreck his knee and cause him to have surgery.
Right.
I felt horrible after that. I'm watching him leave the ice at the time, and I'm sitting there going,
Ah, shit.
I hope he's okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things in the heat of battle that had a shit ending. That it
trying
wasn't
to help my
shit
team
intention.
win. Just trying to help
yeah.
my team win.
Yeah, it happens a million other times with not a bad result.
Well, one last quick one. Going back to Game 6 when you're on that flight, when you wrote down whatever it was on that notepad, at that point, had you been told you were going in Game 7?
No.
Do you think that what you written down
might have been
factor?
Listen, I first of all, I spoke about needing a change. You lose 2 in a row. You need different energy. You need a different look. They didn't change the lineup. I said, I feel good. I'm fresh. Maybe it's one body check that could make the difference in the world. And Joey Kosher was hurting. He's the one that went out. I went in. And Joey was hurting, and I'm sitting there going, "You've squeezed everything you could out of Joe. This is what depth is all about. This is why it's a 23-man roster. This is why you have the extra guys."
Damn! So you wanted in that game badly,
and you hadn't played in close to 2 months almost.
Highlight of my life, right there, being on that stage.
That's good that you wanted it, though. It tells me you want a player on the bench, like you say, you have one penalty shot left. Who wants it? You want the guy going, yo, right fucking here, buddy. I got this one.
Yeah.
Well, Kipper, thanks a lot. We could have you for probably 2 hours.
Oh, my God. That went fast, boys.
We had 2 cases of beer.
I know. Maybe we come back on in the summer.
Yeah,
we
should do it on
Shut
that,
the mics off.
in Manhattan, or that private islander you were talking about earlier when you went after the Stanley Cup win.
Oh, my God.
What was that?
Jesus.
MTV what?
MTV Beach House.
Yeah,
that was the heyday,
break.
though. That was...
Girls Gone Wild?
The grind.
Christy
Remember the
Turlington.
grind used to be on
Remember the
MTV?
supermodels back then? Turlington.
Oh.
They were there?
Cindy Crawford. Oh,
Do you
Cindy's like... she owns the island with her husband.
You still talk to Brian Noonan at all?
Oh, yeah. We had our reunion, the 25th.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's 25th, yeah.
Three days in New York City.
Oh, my
the
God.
Rangers, nobody does it like the New York Rangers.
First class.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
the only class
I know. It's crazy.
for the New York Rangers. They took such good care of us.
Well, we want to thank you. And
Yeah.
Thanks, boys.
We appreciate it very much. So we'll do it again soon.
Enjoy the rest of the run.